Our next speaker is Dr. Veer Singh. He's a VR consultant at Dr. S.B. Sohan Singh Eye Hospital in Amritsar. They do excellent volumes of VR surgery there. Dr. Veer, are you ready with your presentation?
Yeah. So I'll just share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Am I audible as well?
Yeah. Please start.
So I am going to be talking about the final hurdle before we declare victory, that's silicone oil removal. It's a simple but an essential thing to do. Silicone oil was approved by the US FDA in '96. It's used as an intraocular tamponade mainly for retinal detachment surgeries and diabetics when there are multiple breaks, endophthalmitis, hypotony, etc. It's basically removed once its purpose is solved, which is anything between 6 weeks to 6 months. Monitoring of intraocular pressure, emulsification of oil and retinal status is very important while the oil is in situ. Indications of SOR can be many, which is silicone oil in the AC, secondary glaucoma and oil overfill, re-RD, retinal attachment, oil emulsification, cataract formation after silicone oil situ, keratopathy, etc. Mechanism of removal, there are many which are older ones are there, but with the advancement in VR instrumentation, I think the best way and the only one to talk about is vitrectomy machine automated silicone oil removal using MIVS cannula. So methods of removal can be a 2-port approach or a 3-port approach. In the 2-port approach, there's one for infusion, one for SOR, and the retina is inspected with indirect ophthalmoscope. Disadvantage is that you are not able to do any intraoperative maneuvers if needed. With the 3-port method, it's like a regular pars plana vitrectomy. The advantages are you can inspect the retina much better with a biome, and you can do any other intraoperative maneuvers like ERM peeling, laser augmentation, fluid air exchange, additional vitrectomy, etc. Now, the procedure is after making the ports, the infusion is turned on at the usual 30 IOP. Automated silicone oil removal is started at 650 vacuum using a syringe which is directly connected to the cannula. You keep the tip of the cannula within the oil globule till the end. Reduce the vacuum when the oil bubble becomes small. A cotton bud can be used for gentle depression of the ciliary body area. This is to guide the last bubble towards the cannula's tip. Stop once the bubble finishes and avoid any sort of hypotony. Now you can further use a cutter or a flute to remove the residual silicone oil bubbles. You can also gently tap the ciliary body pars plana area to dislodge small silicone oil bubbles. So this is just a screenshot of how this looks like, just like a regular pars plana vitrectomy. One port is for infusion, one's for silicone oil removal, and one's for the light pipe. Special situations are when there is an emulsified oil, you got to clear the hyperoleum from the AC. Multiple fluid layer exchanges are needed to remove this emulsified oil bubbles. Perisilicone oil membranes and ERMs, ILMs can be removed as well. If there's a cataract or an aphakia with it, I prefer to combine the surgery with a phaco IOL or an SFIL. IOL calculation can be done by optical biometry, or in ultrasound biometry, the axial length changes because ultrasound travels slower in silicone oil. So the ultrasound velocity has to be changed to 1139 meters per second, or use a correction factor of 0.71. Phaco IOL is obviously always done first, and you have to be careful because the AC tends to be shallow. Keep getting shallow during surgery. In case there's an ERM macular pathology, you deal with that. There's an open break, you can laser that and give appropriate tamponade. A re-RD, re-surgery in silicone oil. If the secondary glaucoma, if it's only overfill, you can only need to do an oil tap. If it's a chronic glaucoma, you can combine it with an endo CPC or the glaucoma surgery. Chronic hypotony, sometimes we remove that oil and inject 5,000 silicone oil for long-term tamponade and to maintain the eye pressure. So I'm going to show a couple of cases. The first one is a status post vitrectomy, silicone oil for an intraocular foreign body detachment. SOR was done 6 weeks later. First, a regular phaco is being done. It's been sped up quite a bit for this presentation. So once it's a soft nucleus, 38-year-old male. So the cortex is removed and then a hydrophobic single piece IOL is implanted. You can see the silicone oil reflects on the posterior capsule and the AC keeps getting shallow. 3 ports are made and infusion is attached and the silicone oil is removed. You notice I keep my tip inside the oil globule and I point it towards wherever the oil globule is going. I take it out in a single go and there is no hypotony at the end of the procedure. Then I inspect the retina. You can see the scar due to the foreign body impact site. And it's very important to see the entire periphery, depress if need be, make sure the retina is on all around. This was at 6 weeks, so I didn't need to. I just did an ILM peeling to reduce the macular drag, which was due to the scar. So I did not do any fluid exchanges because this was only 6 weeks post the first surgery. And then just close up with 7-0 Vicryl. Final vision came out to be 6-12, 4 weeks post SOR. The second case is an SOR plus esophageal for aphakia and emulsified silicone oil. So you can see the emulsified bubbles in the AC, and I'm doing a silicone oil removal, keeping the tip of the cannula within the bubble. And you see all those emulsified bubbles, they also come along with this. But even then, there are multiple bubbles, so I do multiple fluid air exchanges. While putting on the fluid, I keep the tip of the cannula so that it doesn't hit the retina directly, causing any fluid jet break. After this helps to remove the residual bubbles from. This is a sutureless esophageal then I do, which is a foldable lens, which is recently come to the market, and I find it very useful doing this lens in most of my cases. And that's the end of the surgery, and the case is closed up with glue. So there are certain complications of redetachment, postoperative proliferation, secondary glaucoma, cataract. But the most important thing I want to emphasize is on the implications of SOR. There is a risk of retinal detachment, and this needs to be understood that is higher in the eyes with PVR, higher in eyes which have a tendency to develop PVR like GRT trauma, failed previous surgeries, longer axial lens. A prophylactic 360-degree laser or an encirclage band may reduce the risk of redetachment. Residual silicone oil bubble, it's not possible to remove every single bubble. So patient may complain of seeing residual silicone oil droplets, and the patient needs to be counseled accordingly. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Veer, for covering the topic in detail. I want to ask you if with the new Vault trocars, are you finding it more difficult to remove the last little bit of silicone oil? Because I used to find it much easier with the non-Vault trocars. Now with Vault trocars, that last little bit of bubble can be a little difficult to remove. So
So I was using non-valve all during my fellowship, but for the past 3 years, I've been using only valve trocars. The only thing, usually you get used to it, but if you're having any trouble, there's a little vault which comes. So you can just attach that and works like a vault, non-valve trocar.
Actually, Dr. Kapoor, the DORC trocars that I've been using for so many years have the valve which can be removed. So that is an advantage with the DORC valve trocars. You can remove the cap and it works like a non-valve system. And then you can reinsert it also. And
so similarly, there's a vent in this Constellation system.
Yeah, yes. The vent can also be used in DORC also.
Yeah.
Other point, very small point about, you said that when you're doing a silicone oil removal and you're almost sure that this case does not require any manipulation, then you can do this silicone oil removal in just with 2 ports. And at the end of the surgery, you can use the light pipe to visualize the periphery. And if you need to do any procedure, you can add a 3rd port.
One important thing what I like to add is that initially we were doing with 2 ports, and once we remove the last port, then we were landing it with hypotony, and the last port usually tends to leak. So now what we are doing is we are doing a partial exchange with only 2 ports so that all the sclerotomies are covered. That helps us to tell us whether the ports are leaking or not. And at the end of the surgery, what we do, we put a 30 gauge needle on an air infusion, and we go opposite to the infratemporal site, and we put this 30 gauge needle, and we can see if there is an leak in the infratemporal quadrant. If there is a leak, then we'll suture it. And with this, we are avoiding a total hypotony. Initially, we were getting a lot of cases of hypotony. With this, we are not getting any hypotony. Actually, this technique was told to me by Puneet and Amit Khosla, and it's working very nicely.
Now you start using 27 gauge trocars for Silicon River, that will be better.
See, you are increasing the cost of silicon oil removal. Nobody wants to pay, and you can't open a
But
new
you can
trocar
reuse
cannula
that.
for all those things. So we have to innovate from our part. I do agree ki with new trocar cannula system, you won't have much of leak, but these are innovations what will help you to prevent hypotony. And if the hypotony occurs, then the visual results are slightly compromised.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Of late, I've reduced my threshold for suturing SOR patients because often some of these do come with hypotony. So I put a suture wherever I have a doubt.
There are chances of leakage whenever you are doing resurgery. So one should not shy away from putting sutures. And one important point at the end of my is that one should stop using non-valve cannulas these days. The valve cannula system makes a surgery so safe that there is no point in using valve cannulas. Non-valve cannula.
Yeah. Only for SOR, I was saying, not for any other surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing which we can talk about is that at times there are multiple globules, small globules retained, which does cause discomfort to the patients. So in few cases of these small globules, we can do a FG where we can remove the floating particles of silicone oil over the top of the fluid edge actually. That can be one of the points.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot for the panelists for joining us today on this Sunday morning. We are running short of time, just 2 minutes left for the session. Any input for the beginners? Any mild tips for the beginners?
I think that Deepak, I have to say, we have
Please
to say
unmute.
that.
Yes.
Hello, Deepak.
Yes, sir. You are audible now, sir.
We're
Only
able to hear you.
one take-home message to all the beginners who were seeing this session. So I think that more simple way to think for the beginners. So because that sometimes we are discussing about the much more complicated cases at times. So it is to be only simplified way. We have to think the PG are there. You have to depress the ora serratum and not the bimanual. It's very difficult for ourselves also to be bimanual from the very beginning. And the PG and PVD induction also a process by which they can do learning very slowly and step by step. This is for my information as a director of RIO. We are teaching here plenty of students, 22 MS candidates at each.
Yes, sir. Thanks.